Hi there, my name is Joel Tremblay, and I'm currently enrolled in the Masters of Education Technology program at UBC Vancouver campus. This is the guided tour for my eTech 590 Eportfolio/thesis website. However, before we begin, I'd like to give you a little bit of context/background into myself as a pedagogical practitioner. I'm currently teaching at the Fine Art Academy in Comox-Courtenay School District 71 in British Columbia, Canada. Before this, I taught at West Vancouver Secondary, and I taught film, International Baccalaureate Film, Animation, Yearbook, Website Design, and ICT, as well as photography. And before that, I was at Stellies Secondary School in Saanich, BC, teaching computer hardware, media, drafting, and programming. My motivation for entering the Masters of Education Technology program at UBC is essentially based on pedagogical relevancy. As when I entered the program, I was still fairly new as a pedagogical practitioner. I had a background in engineering and art, but I really didn't understand how to properly implement technology into my educational plans on a day-to-day basis. And so I entered the MET with a really polarized understanding of what I could do and what I couldn't do. But as I got deeper into the questioning and the investigations, I realized that I wasn't coming out with any answers. In fact, I was ending up with more questions. And this is where the design for the actual ePortfolio spawned from. And I chose this theme for very distinct reasons. As coming into the MET program, my understanding was extremely polarized. Right or wrong, left or right, up or down, zeros and ones. And so the jump into a logic or circuit board seemed highly appropriate considering my experience. And so the iconography is as follows. You have the plus and the minus, which circles the beginning and the end of both the journey and the circuit board. You have the course descriptions, which are labeled by circles with numbers inside them, which inside have a description of the actual course given by UBC itself, as well as my own predictions about what I thought the course would be like before actually entering it. And you have the reflection icon, which I integrated into the resistance icon of the actual circuit board. I chose this integration simply because of the internal resistance that I often felt when having to reflect on and make conceptual changes to both my pedagogical practices and understanding. And then you have the artifact icon, which is a capital A inside its circle. And finally, you have the elbows, which are joints that signal changes in directions for both philosophies and changes in pedagogical practice and understandings. So the system of the ePortfolio narrative is set up in a classic circuit board manner. You start at the beginning and you follow it all the way through to the end. And just like any narrative, there are dead ends and U-turns that are documented in mini and macro reflections that I've integrated into all the different web pages that all the different links from the home page go to. And the final element of the main page that was added both conceptually and chronologically is the toolbar at the far left-hand side. Now, the toolbar, despite the fact that it's presented at 50% transparency, is no less important than the actual content of the ePortfolio narrative itself. It contains the technical page, the biography page, the assessment rubric, the website proposal, the bibliography, and of course, this guided tour. And the reason that I chose to present it as well as the legend on the far right-hand side in 50% transparency is simple. I wanted the ePortfolio narrative to be visually the most important aspect of the homepage, which of course reflects my own personal mantra with regards to the design process. The visuals should reflect the theme, should reflect the narrative. It's a design process and cannot be ignored when conceptualizing a new idea. And so, with the idea of an integrated theme being an absolute design necessity, let's begin with my idea of polarized understandings to entropic questioning. And as I mentioned at the beginning, when I entered the MET program, my understandings were very black and white. They were extremely polarized. I thought that progressing through the program would give me more answers, but in fact, I was left with more questions. This is represented on the main page through the slow degradation into deeper and deeper grays. And as I progressed through the different MET courses and the investigations therein, those ideas started to bear fruit. I chose to represent this on the main page with different colors that get more and more vibrant as the narrative and timeline go on. Until last year at the very end page, which is of course an extremely gaudy display of different colors that makes it almost difficult to read. But the point is that there's so many different possibilities and so many questions going on that I don't even have time for answers anymore. The questioning has become the new paradigm, and I realize that the answers have never mattered. My job as a teacher is instead to encourage the process of questioning rather than the search for answers, as the answers lead to a dead end, whereas the questioning leads to multiple different learning opportunities. This guided tour and the film that it was focused on are entirely based upon this principle. And all elements within it, from the conceptual design to the literature focus to the background contextual information, are focused on perpetuating this idea to both the viewer and to myself as I walk through this reflective journey. And while within this film I must demonstrate an excellent familiarity with and an understanding of theory and research in education technology and understandings, I must also be sure to pay homage to the lifelong learning aspects that graduate learning provides. And I must ask myself, is my ePortfolio a comprehensive and balanced survey of the MET program? Does it display an excellent evidence of reflective thought? And does it make sense? And are, in fact, the points within comprehensively referenced through the APA system of bibliography? And while I'm aware that my ePortfolio already contains a unifying theme that excellently applies to both the ePortfolio source material as well as the narration and theme therein, does it also display an excellent understanding of technical ability, digital aesthetic awareness, and the understanding of how my viewers will navigate through the website? Because these differences in understanding are the understated and often silent partner to the learning that the graduate educational experience provides. Without these understated skills that have slowly become instinct throughout the period of my graduate learning, my ePortfolio would have no truth, it would have no substance, and most importantly, it would have no validity within the world of academia, as well as lacking any influence on my genuine focus on personalized lifelong learning. Thank you for listening.